Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know our mission. Cut through the noise, find those surprising insights, and really deliver practical wisdom for you.
Absolutely. And today, we're jumping into a really significant part of the Bhagavad Gita Chapter 4.
That's transcendental knowledge, or Jnana yoga.
Exactly. And it builds right on what we talked about before with action, karma yoga. It's the next logical step.
Connecting action with knowledge for, ultimate liberation.
Precisely. It's about linking what you do with what you understand on a much deeper level.
So what's the core aim here? What are we trying to get out of this chapter?
Well, it really clarifies a few key things. The nature of the Supreme Lord, for one.
Okay.
And crucially, how you actually get this transcendental knowledge. And maybe most practically for everyday life.
Yeah.
How you can sort of step beyond the results, the karmic reactions of your actions.
That sounds huge. Is this just like academic knowledge? Book learning?
Not at all. That's the key difference. It's presented as a realization, something you experience directly. Think knowing about honey versus tasting it.
Ah, okay. So beyond just what our senses tell us.
Right. It's meant to be truly liberating, getting you out of the whole cycle.
So where did the chapter kick off?
It starts with something pretty staggering, actually. Krishna says this knowledge isn't new.
Oh?
Yeah. He says he taught it way, way back, like at the dawn of creation to the sun god, Vivasvan.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a claim. So it's ancient wisdom.
Super ancient. And it was supposed to be passed down teacher to student in this perfect chain. They call it parampara.
The disciplic succession.
Exactly. But the text says that chain got broken over time.
Which underlines why having an authentic source now is so important, right?
Absolutely. And that's why Krishna says he's teaching it again directly to Arjuna.
And he mentions why Arjuna, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Because Arjuna is his devotee and friend.
Yes. Which is fascinating. It suggests that getting this knowledge isn't just about being smart. It's about your attitude, your receptiveness. Devotion plays a part.
That makes sense. But Arjuna gets a bit confused, doesn't he? He asks how Krishna, who seems contemporary, could have taught someone from so long ago.
Right, a perfectly logical question from our perspective. And Krishna's answer really dives into his own divine nature.
He remembers all his past appearances, unlike us.
Perfectly. Because he's unborn, his body isn't material like ours. It doesn't decay. He appears by his own will, his internal energy.
Not forced by the laws of nature.
Exactly. He's not bound by karma, which leads to the next big question.
Why does he appear? These descents, these avatars.
It's purposeful. The Gita says he comes whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice and, when irreligion is on the rise.
So like a course correction.
Kind of,
Yeah.
to protect the devotees, reestablish dharma, the principles of, righteous living.
And understanding that,
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge promise tied to it, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely huge. Krishna states it very clearly. If you truly understand the transcendental nature of his appearance and activities, then when you leave your body, you don't take birth again here. You attain his eternal abode, real liberation.
Wow. That's profound.
Mm-hmm.
But it requires something from us, right?
Yes, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, fully absorbed in him, taking refuge in him. It's a whole transformation of consciousness.
And he mentions how he reciprocates, too, based on how people approach him.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Whether you want worldly things or impersonal peace or that direct relationship, everyone's following his path, knowingly or unknowingly.
Okay, now this next bit always gets me. Inaction, inaction, and action in inaction. Sounds like a riddle.
It does. It's kind of mind-bending, but it's not about stopping activity altogether.
Right. It's about the consciousness behind the action.
Exactly. Think about, say, washing dishes. You can do it grudgingly, feel bound by it,
Or do it as like an offering, selfless service.
Precisely. The physical action is the same, but the intent, the consciousness, changes everything. When it's done without attachment to the result as service, it doesn't create karmic bondage. That's the inaction in action.
So knowledge transforms the effect of the action.
Yes. The fire of perfect knowledge, as the Gita calls it, burns up those karmic reactions.
And this applies to different kinds of sacrifice, or yajna.
Correct. There are many types mentioned: controlling the senses, charity, study, but they all ultimately point towards purification.
And the highest sacrifices.
The sacrifice in knowledge. It's deemed superior to just sacrificing material things because, again, it's the understanding, the consciousness that truly liberates. All sacrifices are meant to culminate in this transcendental knowledge.
Okay, but how do you get this knowledge? It sounds amazing, But is there a process?
The text is very specific here. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master.
So find a teacher.
Yes. And not just find one, but inquire submissively, render service. Humility, respect, genuine seeking, these are key. The teacher is seen as the essential guide.
And the power of this knowledge, once received, it's described pretty dramatically.
Incredibly so. It says even the most sinful of all sinners can cross the ocean of miseries with this knowledge, like being in a sturdy boat.
It's like a fire burning away all past reactions.
To ashes, yeah. Past, present, future, potentially. It emphasizes faith, shraddha, and controlling the senses as prerequisites to achieving and holding on to this knowledge.
Leading to supreme spiritual peace.
That's the promise. And Krishna's final punchline to Arjuna in this chapter is powerful.
What's that?
Basically, use this knowledge like a weapon.
Yeah.
Slash the doubts that come from ignorance. Get up and fight, armed with yoga.
Wow. Okay, so let's try and recap the big takeaways from this deep dive into Chapter 4.
All right, we saw the importance of that disciplic succession, the parampara, for keeping the knowledge pure.
Right. And Krishna's unique divine nature, why he appears, how he's different from us.
Definitely. Then there's that transformative idea of inaction in action, acting with knowledge to avoid karmic entanglement.
And how all different types of sacrifices really point towards and culminate in this transcendental knowledge as the highest goal.
Couldn't put it better. And we
Yes.
can't forget the absolute necessity of a genuine spiritual guide.
Approach with the right attitude, faith, inquiry, service.
It's all part of accessing this knowledge, which is described as that weapon against doubt, that boat across misery.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening to ponder.
Yeah.
If this genuine spiritual knowledge really can burn away all karmic reactions, past, present, future, like the Gita says, what does that suggest about the sheer power of changing your consciousness? How might that impact your life, your choices, starting right now?
That's a great question to sit with. Definitely something to think about until our next deep dive.